All right, welcome to Hodinkee Live. It's the end of Baselworld Day 1. We had the kind of press preview day yesterday. We got some stories from that, but today the fair properly started and we really got into the flow of taking appointments. Some of us solo, some as a group, so we've all kind of seen some different watches so far. So we thought it would be nice and give you a look at some of our editors' favorite picks from the show so far. So we thought, Louis, do you want to start and give us maybe three of your...
Yeah, so one of the watches I like the most is peculiar, but in a very good way. It's Hermes L'Heure Impatiente. In English, it's the impatient hour. And it comes with a poetic complication. And it's something they've done consistently over the past years. And it's just kind of a take on a complication or just something else to tell the time. In the case of this Hermes, it's kind of an alarm or like a countdown to like something you look forward to, and so the actually chimes like an alarm or like a grand sonnery. The time that you set within the next 12 hours. So let's say you have something to look forward at 4 p.m. You can set that up to ring just one chime at 4 p.m. And it's a very like interesting, unusual complication and something that Hermes can get away with. And then, what's interesting about that, it was the slim case that's just above 40 millimeters, but still the complication is maintained a very interesting thickness, so it wears really well, and it doesn't really show. It's very Hermes, like very distinguished. The first one. The second, completely different. It's a Seiko diver. I mean, everyone loves Seiko diver. It actually came with a re-edition. Not the only brands to do that this year. Like we've seen, the Omega, like many other brands have just. And in the case of Seiko, they went for that they had launched in 1965, the 62 MAS as it's called. 6217 is the reference.
And that was the very first Seiko diver.
Exactly, and important because it's something they do one diver, and like the first draft was amazing, and it's still the most collected, vintage Seiko, and so they just produced it this year. Again, as we've seen with the Omega earlier, almost to the T. It's same color, same type of. It's going to be a limited edition, 2,000 pieces, and I have no doubt that even though they are like fairly expensive for Seiko, they're around $3,000. They would go just because Seiko and Seiko divers have such a strong following. The third one, different brand but still kind of in the sporty segment. I would say I think it's Heritage Black Bay Steel. The name doesn't tell much because sports watch have been steel, but it's kind of like the old Black Bay with two additions. One is the steel bezel, hence the steel in the name. And it's something where, like, if you just read the paper, you'd be like, not sure, because the Black Bay as it is looked really nice, and still like together, it gives a very kind of like edgy feeling to this piece, and on the wrist, it's like a very new take on the Black Bay, and just doing a new color. So for that reason, I really enjoyed it. And last point, they brought really nice straps with it. So it's available on bracelet, but the straps are really worth.
Did you have a favorite of the straps?
Yeah, so one, and it's lucky because it's the strap that they actually give with if you a strap or a bracelet. It's kind of like their NATO, and in comparison to a regular NATO where you get like two layers, it's a single layer one under the watch, and so it makes the watch sit high, and as they are already like fairly thick, it's a very good take on the NATO.
Cool. And
consistent with what a sporty watch should go with.
Great. So Ben, what were your three picks?
Yeah, I guess the first not be surprised to anybody who's read the site recently. It's the new Patek Perpetual Calendar 2020. It's a lot of things in one. I'm not going to say it all kind of meshes perfectly. You take any of these individual attributes, the syringe hands, the lacquer dial, the stepped lugs, that mid case, and certainly the luminous dots and afters. Take any of those individually, you've got wonderful components. Put a little bit of hodgepodge for sure. That's not to say it's bad. In fact, I think it's quite good. It's probably one of the finer watches in the Basel Hall booth. Quality and design and all that. For a vintage Patek lover like myself, it really speaks to me for sure. Is it a watch that I'm willing to part with $82,000 for? Probably not, honestly. The finish of, like, I'm not going to call them entry level because they're certainly not, but entry level brand comps, which is Patek's perpetual calendar basically, leaves something to be desired after owning a Lange or two and a few things like that. It's not, I think, where it probably should be. Still, it's a beautiful design. It's definitely a step in the right direction. And speaking with a friend of mine, William Tina from Time Zone Today, we were kind of talking about, it is a little bit too glossy today, but the generation, whether you do it in platinum or rose gold or whatever, it'll probably be pretty strong. Patek Perpetual Calendar, can't go wrong there. The second choice is a Longines. It's a Heritage 45, which is a Calatrava, and this one has kind of an interesting story that not others. They've given me the go ahead to talk about it. So I own this watch. So I own the original version of this watch that I bought from a friend maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's super slim, flat bezel, only wound, salmon dial. I wear it on one of our kind of new Bucky suede straps, and I wear it and I post it on Instagram every now and then. And some folks at Longines saw the watch about a year and a half ago. To bring it to Basel this time last year, which I am happily obliged to do, and they took it and now they made it, and they made it right down to my strap even, which is an amazing honor for me to see this watch, and they did a great job. I mean, it's a little bit thicker, it's automatic, it's 40 millimeters now. It's not really salmon, it's more of a kind of a sunburst thing. It's pretty damn close, and the watch is like $2,000, and so I mean it is, I would say 8/10 of the way to my watch, a little bit bigger, automatic, stuff like that, but it's a $2,000 Calatrava that is very much in the same vein as the watch that I own, and that's the type of watch I've shown it to Patek collectors, and they just lost their mind over it. It's actually larger and kind of more beautiful than a lot of the 570s and things like that. So that's a fun watch with a personal story. And then the final watch is the Grand Remontoire, which a lot of guys think of me as a Rolex kind of vintage watch guy, but you turn over a watch like a Dufour Simplicity or a Laurent or this Grandval, and you just say, holy shit, like this is what watchmaking is today. These are guys really pushing things forward. These are two brothers that are doing it. In the Netherlands of all places. They used to work at Renault and Papi. The finishing and the architecture of the movement is just absolutely over the top, insane. We were talking about it earlier. It's got to be the best finishing movement in the hall.
Totally.
Maybe a Romain Gaultier in there as well, and so it's all good. But this watch is just insane. And this watch in particular, they've done tourbillons, they've done dead seconds, and they've all been rather expensive. This is, I'm not going to say entry level, but you can buy this watch in steel for around 45,000 euros. When you think about it, what else you can buy a rose gold Nautilus for more than that? And this is pure, truest definition of high-end watchmaking by two guys that are just amazingly fun to be around. You can go drinking with them and all that. And it's like, this is the way watchmaking used to be. And seeing that movement today, in particular with the dials produced by Kari, Ultilainen, who they're sharing a booth. It really spoke to me in a way that a modern watch hasn't, probably since or the first time I saw Laurent Ferrier Tourbillon.
Yeah, I would totally agree. The Grumfell watch is really incredible. I've got 3 of my own. So to kick things off, I am going to go the predictable route and say, but probably not the Rolex you'd think. It's not the Sea Dweller. It's not the Sky Dweller. It's actually the Cellini Moonface, which if you would ask me days ago if I strongly recommend that somebody buy a non-Oyster watch from Rolex today, I would have told you no. But the first Moonphase watch that Rolex has made since the 1950s. It's a pretty special way to kind of play on their heritage. But it's not like any Moonphase they've done. You get the new moon and you get the full moon and you get and the moons kind of orbit through this. So you get to see kind of relatively within the cycle where you are. It's a beautiful ever rose case. The actual moon on the enamel disc is a piece of touch. It's just a really beautifully executed dress watch I would not have expected to see from Rolex. And I think they handled it really nicely, but you put it on your wrist, it still feels like a Rolex, which I thought was a nice touch. My second watch is a dress watch, but something much more complicated, and it's the Hermes Slim. So last year or 2 years ago, we got the Hermes Perpetual Calendar, which also in time zone, as if perpetual calendar wasn't enough. Just in rose gold with a silver dial. This year we're now getting platinum with this beautiful, like, deep blue dial accents. It's really striking. It's one of those watches you see from across the room, you have to go take a look at. And something I thought Hermes did that was really nice is the US thing is exactly the same price as the rose gold edition. They didn't want to mark it up. Just this is what they think their perpetual calendar should cost, and that's what it costs. So it's just under $40,000 US. It's a really amazing watch, and sure, it's not Patek, it's not Lange. You get kind of the look and the feel of an Hermes product, but you also get really high-end watchmaking. I think not enough people fully appreciate.
And it is also literally less than half the price of the Patek.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely no. Some people might like all the H finishing on the movement, sure, but it's a pretty amazing watch. And the last one is so far probably the watch of the show, and that's the new trio of Grand Seiko limited editions. So for those of you who may have missed the news, as of today, Grand Seiko is no longer a sub-brand of Seiko. It's its own independent company. So to kick that off, they launched kind of anniversary edition type pieces inspired by the original Grand Seiko piece. They look almost slightly larger. They're 38.5 millimeters. They're super wearable today. And they come in platinum, rose gold,
yellow gold,
and steel. They've kind of taken one of the things about the original Grand Seiko was it was made over a period of time. There were different dial executions. So they've nodded to each of the dial executions in each of these watches. So either raised or engraved signatures on the dial. And the platinum has the engraved signature, which is probably my favorite of the bunch. Mm-hmm. And then something else that only is the gold and steel models are regulated to -3 +5 seconds per day. The platinum is regulated to -1 +5. So you're not just getting a more precious metal, you're actually getting a better movement. And as I'm sure most customers will, but I personally find it extremely charming.
And there was another subtlety I liked, is that the dials are like slightly to match kind of like the tone of the metal. So if you take, the silver is going to be a bit more white, and you gold next to it, you will see just a small difference.
Tiny bit.
It's thought through.
Totally. Yeah, those watches to me really embody somebody thinking the product through from concept all the way to absolute finest details. Yeah. They're limited editions, but they still can be had for $5,700 US, which I think might not like a super bargain for a 3-hand time only manually wound watch. At that level of finish and that level of chronometry, it's a pretty amazing deal.
Yeah, no, I think that watch is a bargain. I think the show, I agree. I think that I mentioned it earlier on the site in print or in writing. Omega has the new Railmaster, which you can buy for $4,900 on a leather strap, master coaxial chronometer, beautiful kind of dial with the 369 crosshair, the whole thing. We're now seeing watches that are really, really attractive for even hardcore enthusiasts such as ourselves and you guys. Which Seiko has always done that. They're getting better at it. I really love that the Grand Seiko is its own thing, its own brand. It long deserved it for sure. Omega had a really strong year with the trilogy as well as the Trailmaster. So I guess the for you guys is, what is the most expensive watch you've seen today?
The most expensive watch I saw today,
or the dumbest watch you've seen today? We've seen a lot of both.
I would guess the watch I've seen today, I actually don't know the price of it.
Yeah.
Thought we were getting to take a look at the Creedor minute repeater, and they brought in a different Creedor watch that about it. It's a Japanese domestic market only piece. Yeah. It had a marquetry mother of pearl dial that must have had 200-300 individually laid pieces of diamonds, and then you turned it over and it was a spring dried movement that was like a multicolored mother of pearl and gold sculpture. You actually couldn't see any plates. It was insane. Guessing that's probably the most expensive thing I saw.
You know what that was? How much it cost?
I don't know anything about the watch other than what it looks like. I have some photos, so I'll do some research later.
You know what that watch is?
Yeah, if anyone has any idea, please let me know.
I think I'll take the watch. I don't even know if it's still real. But basically on Instagram, they're showing what they call like a Chanel Mademoiselle G12 or something like that. And it's apparently like Madame Chanel with the hands,
like Mickey Mouse hand.
Exactly. And I haven't seen it in person, so I can't say, one, if it's real, two, if it's like better than, I don't assume so. But it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like I would never expect, Chanel, which is very refined, to do some Mickey Mouse. Yeah.
If Karl Lagerfeld is watching, reach out to us and let us know, please. Let us get the insights on this watch.
Yeah.
And for you?
Many dumb watches, like just a randomly
dumb watches?
predominantly dumb watches. Most expensive is actually in this apartment right now. I'm not going to tell you where we're staying. It is a Grubel Forzi GMT. It is actually on the wrist currently of our wonderful editor-in-chief, Jack Forrester. He's been lent it for the week. If you see Jack around town, take a look at what's on his wrist. So it's a Grubel Forzi GMT.
And please don't mug him.
For our insurance policy, we can't handle it, truly. Don't put us out of business. So Jack has a Grubel Forzi GMT in platinum on his wrist, which is just a fucking monster. But it's an amazing watch. And with Jack, I think he can pull it off in a way that most of us couldn't. So that's a round for sure.
We got to get you something crazy next.
Well, looking forward to that.
Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, and this up the next couple of nights and give you a little bit every night of what we're doing, or at least a couple more times throughout the show. And tweet at us, hit us up on Instagram, send us emails, let us know what you want to see from the show.